Hi guys, it's Karen here, and today I'm responding to yet another video by Anita Sarkeesian. This time we're tackling the video Miss Male Character. Anita's original video doesn't offer us much, other than an example after an example of a female character wearing pink. So with that in mind, let's begin.
As always, it's important to keep in mind that it's entirely possible to be critical of some aspects of a piece of media while still finding other parts valuable or enjoyable.
You don't really seem to find anything enjoyable about these games or characters. You're just complaining about things that don't really have any effect on you whatsoever.
Toru Iwatani, the creator of Pac-Man, has stated in numerous interviews that the game was designed to appeal to women because, and I'm not kidding about this, he said, "When you think about things women like, you think about fashion, or fortune-telling, or food, or dating boyfriends. So I decided to theme the game around eating. After eating dinner, women like to have dessert." Luckily, Iwatani's regressive personal or cultural notions about women are not reflected in the finished game itself.
You don't like dessert, Anita? That's sad. On another note though, I think it's surprising Pac-Man was designed for women since both sexes seem to enjoy playing it.
Pac-Man went on to become an international sensation and remains one of the most recognizable pop culture icons today. But probably not because women are genetically predisposed to like eating desserts more than humans of other genders.
Did you say more than humans of other genders? First of all, they're not genders, they're identities. And second, this is the first time you're referring to there being more than two genders. Are you going to talk about how all the other 127 identities are not properly represented in video games? Probably not, since feminism is only focused on women being as equal as men. Even as a social movement, feminism is far from true equality. According to OxfordDictionaries.com, the definition of feminism is the advocacy of women's rights on the ground of the equality of the sexes, whereas egalitarianism is the doctrine that all people are equal and deserve equal rights and opportunities. If you truly believe that there are more than two genders, you should be an equalitarianist like me, not a feminist. Also, look at this cat, it just jumped on my lap. He agrees with my message. Don't be a feminist, be an equalitarianist. Or whatever the fuck.
Ms. Pac-Man was not only one of the first playable female characters, but she also holds the distinction of being the original Ms. Male character in video games. I describe the Ms. Male character trope as a female version of an already established or default male character.
Default male character. So because the majority of video game characters are male, every single female, according to your definition, is automatically a Ms. Male character. Why do you only see female game characters as shadows of their male predecessor? Can't you give them any credit, Anita?
The process of creating Ms. Male characters out of pre-existing male heroes has been especially popular in animation and comic books over the past century.
I personally see that as very empowering. But I'm not a feminist, so I can't possibly know how oppressed us poor little girls actually are. So do enlighten me.
Well, in order to differentiate Ms. Pac-Man from her already world-famous counterpart, her creators added a series of stereotypical design elements. With only a few pixels to work with, designers built on top of the original Pac-Man template, adding a red bow, red lipstick, an eye with makeup, long lashes, and a mole as beauty mark.
Okay, let's see. Red lipstick? Makeup? Earrings? Are you a Miss Male character, Anita? Am I a Miss Male character? Who the fuck knows?
The design elements that were used to transform Pac-Man into Ms. Pac-Man are referred to as feminizing gendered signifiers. The bow, the makeup, the long eyelashes are all specific stylistic choices. They're all part of our culture's visual vocabulary, intended to convey information about gender to the viewer.
Yes, that's actually all true. But what does that have to do with anything? Is it somehow wrong to use these gender identifiers? And if so, why? What if that's the kind of feminine character that the developers wanted Miss Pac-Man to be? Why shouldn't she be allowed to express her femininity?
The Adult Swim game Giant Boulder of Death takes the trope to ridiculous extremes by gendering a pink boulder with a giant pink bow before she's stuffed in the refrigerator to motivate the blue boulder to seek revenge. Now, the interesting thing is that these gendered signifiers are really quite arbitrary and abstract. There's nothing about a bow in and of itself that's intrinsically or essentially feminine.
That's true and all, but how the hell are you going to be able to tell if a boulder or an animal is female? They have little to none feminine features, so instead of giving them boobs, it's easier to just put a bow or a flower on their head as an accessory. Besides, they might not even be female. They could just like wearing bows for all you know. Don't jump into sexist conclusions, Anita. Just please.
The indie game Rogue Legacy has an interesting system whereby you can be randomly assigned the choice of either male or female heirs to play on each run. The characters are essentially identical both mechanically and aesthetically, except for a very minor difference in their breastplate styles. So far, so good. But all the female heirs also have a strangely conspicuous and completely unnecessary lavender-colored bow on top of their armor. This is a classic example of put a bow on it.
Oh my god, I didn't even notice that. That's so cute. A badass female warrior with a bow. Where do I sign up? I wanna be a part of this.
The most commonly used gendered signifiers, or feminizing accessories, are bows, lipstick, long eyelashes, and the color pink.
Why on earth would they choose those particular details, I wonder? Oh man, I can't think of any reason how that would have its roots in our everyday society. Nope. Can't think of anything. You got me there, Anita.
Other signifiers used to differentiate women from men are pigtails, high-heeled shoes, painted nails, pronounced makeup, especially blush and eyeshadow, midriff-bearing outfits, exaggerated breasts with exposed cleavage.
And where could these details come from then? Well, not from real life, that's for sure. Also, you're wearing makeup, Anita. That's a gender signifier. That's wrong. You gotta stop it. Well, to be fair, I'm also wearing makeup, but I'm not a feminist, so it's okay. Also, breasts? Cleavage? How is that a problem? Women have breasts. Why do you hate breasts, Anita?
Now, just to be clear, there's no inherent problem with the color pink, makeup, bows, or high heels as design elements on their own.
There's nothing wrong with them at all, on their own or otherwise. How would you even have a high heel design element on its own? Just a living shoe? Are you fucking kidding me? It needs a character. But if it's a female character, then these design elements become gender signifiers, and that's horrible in your mind somehow? What the fuck?
And of course, people of all genders may choose to wear any of them from time to time in the real world, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with that either.
So it's only wrong to use these elements to signify a character's gender in a video game. Okay, I think I understand you now, okay.
However, when designers choose to use the Ms. Male character trope and its associated visual stereotypes to specifically distinguish female characters from the rest of the cast in a fictional context, it has a few negative consequences.
Oh no, this fictional game character is wearing a bow and high heels. My life is ruined.
One repercussion of constantly relying on feminizing signifiers for character design is that it tends to reinforce a strict binary form of gender expression.
But didn't you just say that it's completely fine to dress however the fuck you like in real life? Or are you saying that video games are telling women how to dress now? Oh my god, video games do not dictate human behavior.
The gender binary is an entirely artificial and socially constructed division of male and female into two distinctly separate and opposing classes of human being.
Holy shit, that was a mouthful. I didn't understand a word of that.
The gender binary is an entirely artificial and socially constructed division of male and female into two distinctly separate and opposing classes of human beings.
I thought you wanted to make the series to make feminism more accessible to a wider audience and avoid using academic terms. That's what you said in this clip right here.
They talked about systems of oppression and privilege, but it was in this language that was really hard to understand, and I wanted to create a space where feminism was easy to engage with in an accessible way.
I guess you lied about that too.
The gender binary also erases the continuum of gender presentations and identities that fall outside of the rigid masculine-feminine false dichotomy.
Oh, there you go. Are you gonna introduce us to the other genders now? Okay, let's hear it.
And within that strict binary, women are marked, while men get to remain largely unmarked.
No? Nothing? Just more bullshit. Okay, sorry, it was my fault for expecting something even mildly intelligent from you, so let's just pretend that never happened.
In the Mario franchise, the Koopalings were originally described as Bowser's 7 children. All of them are male except for one named Wendy O. Koopa. We know she's female because her designers use practically every hyper-feminine frill and accessory available to separate her from her male sibling.
If I had 6 brothers, I'd be hyper-feminine too. Oh, and her name is Wendy, so that's another clue for you that she is female.
As with many Ms. Male characters, her defining characteristic is her gender.
Well, if you ask me, she looks intelligent, strong-willed, and like a mean fucking bitch who doesn't take shit from anyone. It's so sad that you can only see the superficial feminine traits of the character instead of their personality.
Wendy also suffers from a parallel condition I like to call personality female syndrome, wherein female characters are reduced to a one-dimensional personality type consisting of nothing more than a collection of shallow stereotypes about women.
I think that just proves my point.
She's vain, spoiled, bratty, and quick to anger.
Hey, I knew it. She is strong-willed and a mean bitch. That is a real personality. You just said she doesn't have a personality apart from being a woman. What the fuck, Anita?
When female characters are marked by obligatory stereotypical identifiers, it actively limits the range of available options by enforcing a narrow, restrictive, and monolithic model for the portrayal of femininity.
No, it doesn't. Unless all these characters act the same way, you can't make that argument. And they don't. Just because you wear accessories and high heels doesn't mean you have to act a certain way, more or less feminine.
Meanwhile, since male characters are allowed to be unmarked, it permits a much wider array of possibilities for their designs.
Oh, so it's the design that's the problem. Okay, so girls, stop wearing skirts. And stop putting on makeup. And stop wearing high heels. Anita has spoken. You gotta stop all that shit right now.
An expanded color palette is something we do see applied to men on rare occasions, as with Kirby, Bomberman, or Roy Koopa. But they are the exception to the rule and are typically only found in colorful, childlike, and extremely male-dominated worlds.
All the female characters you've shown us so far belong in these same worlds too. Take one look outside of that particular genre of gaming and you'll find a wide range of amazing, wonderfully designed female characters. Just take your head out of your feminist ass and boot up your console, or PC, or handheld system, and you find strong and awesome female characters everywhere.
But if a bow, lipstick, eyeshadow, or heels are placed on an otherwise male-identified character, the intention, or at least the result, is typically a homophobic or transphobic joke.
What actually makes a joke homophobic or transphobic? It's a joke. It doesn't have phobias. And by the way, Birdo is a trans woman. And for you to reduce her into a transphobic joke is extremely transphobic, sexist, and misogynistic.
There are a few optional design accessories for men like neckties or baseball caps, but they don't hold the same significance. They're not ubiquitous or strictly enforced, and they're never really used to mark men as not female in larger fictional universes dominated by women.
This entire marking thing you're talking about sounds horrifying when you're actually just talking about high heels and lipstick. Lipstick doesn't mark you as a female like a branding iron marks cows. That's just ridiculous. If these characters choose to wear makeup and express their feminine side through other gender signifiers, it's not homophobic or transphobic. I really can't take you seriously, Anita.
In addition to her Smurfette status, she's also afflicted with personality female syndrome.
Smurfette status and personality female syndrome? What?
Wonder Pink is shallow, vain, materialistic, and flies into a rage at the drop of a hat.
Well, she sounds like a feminist to me.
Paulette sums up the crux of the Smurfette problem nicely in her New York Times article. The message is clear. Boys are the norm, girls the variation. Boys are central, girls peripheral. Boys are individuals, girls types. Boys define the group, its story, and its code of values. Girls exist only in relation to boys.
And you seriously believe that? You think that is the social norm? That is the craziest thing that I've ever heard. This is what happens when you look too closely into anything, no matter what it is. You start seeing patterns that don't exist and come up with the most ridiculous reasons for those non-existing patterns.
Dixie Kong is the female variant and love interest of Diddy Kong. Note the ponytail and hair ringlets, pink shirt, pink hat, earrings, and eyelashes, all to distinguish her from her predecessor.
And why is that a problem exactly? You keep stating these facts as if there was something inherently wrong with them. Oh look, these female characters are wearing pink and they have eyelashes. Yeah, so what? It means nothing in everyday life. It's not a problem. Explain to me why it is a problem. Give me something to work with here, Anita. All you've done so far is giving cherry-picked examples of female video game characters.
And often relegating them to subordinate or secondary status inside their respective media franchises.
But it was in this language that was really hard to understand.
Relegating them to subordinate or secondary status.
Really hard to understand. Really hard to understand.
One very old and notable example of the Ms. Male character trope comes to mind. As the story goes, God made Adam in his own image and then later took a rib from Adam's side and fashioned a woman out of it to be his wife and companion. This Adam and Eve version of the creation myth reinforces a subordinate view of women. Man is cast as the original concept and source code for woman, who is derived from his body. Essentially, Eve is a sequel to Adam, just as Ms. Pac-Man was built from the body of Pac-Man who came before her.
And your Miss Male character theory is just as ridiculous as the origin story of man in the Bible. I love how you just roasted yourself there, Anita. I didn't have to do anything.
In a male-identified society like ours, men are associated and become synonymous with human beings in general. In other words, male tends to be seen as the default for the entire species.
Nope. You're wrong. Shut up.
In video games, male identification manifests as a tendency for all characters to be male by default, unless there's some special reason or specific justification for women to be present in the story.
Well, that's because the majority of video game target audience is male. Therefore, it makes sense for the main characters to be male as well. I've mentioned this in every single video I've made so far, I think. And like real-life men, these video game characters also want someone on their side. A wife, a girlfriend, a love interest, or just a friend.
To help illustrate one of the ways the male as default phenomenon operates in gaming worlds, let's take a look at the mobile mega hit Angry Birds.
Angry Birds! Suomi mainittu torilla tavataan.
Mobile developer Rovio first began gendering birds in February 2011 with the release of their Valentine's-themed episode for Angry Birds Seasons, which includes Ms. Male character versions of the red bird, the white bird, and a female pig as love interests. Note the bows, makeup, and long eyelashes.
God damn, you really do hate bows, makeup, and eyelash. Then why do you wear so many gender signifiers if you hate them so much? That's what I want to know, personally.
Both the Smurfette principle and the Ms. Male character tropes create scenarios that reinforce a false dichotomy, wherein male is associated with the norm, while female is associated with a deviation from the norm.
Again, that's because the target audience is male. Get that through your thick, fucking feminist skull. It's marketing. It's business.
Everything we've discussed in this episode thus far has been related to visual design or narrative connection. But there's another way that the Ms. Male character trope can manifest itself, and that is through marketing and promotional materials. A great illustration of this trend can be found in BioWare's highly regarded Mass Effect series.
No, you do not touch my Mass Effect, no.
The games offer players a choice.
No, I forbid it. No, Anita, no.
Version of
Anita,
the
stop. No, not my Mass Effect.
Commander Shepard.
No, I'm done. Fuck you, Anita, fuck you.
Nearly everything about the advertising campaign explicitly tells players that Commander Shepard is a man, and by extension associates the official storyline with the male version of the hero.
Because he is the default choice. The original design is male. The female option is there to give variety to the game, but the original character was male. That still doesn't mean that female gamers can't enjoy the game. I love Mass Effect, and even though I now have the option to play as female, I've played all the games as male Shepard. Even though FemShep is fucking amazing, and the voice actress does a terrific job, I prefer BroShep. I guess that makes me a sexist, misogynistic asshole, but so be it. I couldn't fucking care less, because I'll always know that I am a gamer, and you are not, Anita.
Still, the female version has a dedicated fan base who frequently refers to her as FemShep. And although this is meant as an affectionate nickname, it does further highlight her designation as a Ms. Male character.
Again, I don't see a problem here. Is there a problem? What is your problem? Can you tell me, Anita, what is the fucking problem with being a Ms. Male character?
Now, it's certainly true that in many cases, the games starring the female variant are better gaming experiences overall. And taken on their own, each individual example we've covered in this episode might seem relatively benign or trivial. But the reason this series focuses on tropes is because they help us recognize larger recurring patterns.
Okay, listen, humans are prone to recognizing patterns, even where none exist. You found so many meaningless patterns you're trying to sell us, but ultimately, even if there is a pattern, it might not be problematic. Why should we get rid of these so-called Miss-Male characters? Isn't it good to have a choice? To have variety? Is it not enough for you? Do you think it's oppressing real women? Do you think it's telling women how to act, or what to wear, and how to think? Just tell me, Anita. Where's the negative in this? To me, everything you've told us so far in this video is that we've been given many more female characters, some of which possess more feminine traits than others. But you've told us nothing of the negative aspects of this phenomenon. Without critique, the problem cannot be fixed. And, oh, they wear too much pink and too much eyeshadow. That's not critique.
The truth of the matter is that there's really no need to define women as derivative copies of men or to automatically resort to lazy, stereotypical, or limiting gendered signifiers when designing video game characters.
Well, that's true. But there already are multiple female characters that do not fall under those tropes. You seem to know so much about Mass Effect, but how come you didn't mention Tali, or Jack, or Liara? Cherry picking much? No one can take you seriously. I can't take you seriously, Anita. You're cheating by creating this narrative for your series that by default women in video games are portrayed as the shadow of the man character, the one that came before. Women can't be on their own because of society and patriarchy. No, that's just plain wrong. Because in reality, these female characters are strong and independent and amazing characters on their own. As a feminist, why would you go into such lengths to try to prove how sexist the video game industry is, when in reality it's nothing like you describe it as?
It was at that moment that Claire realised she had superpowers.
Claire is a simple blue cube and one of the more memorable characters from the indie game Thomas Was Alone. We know she's female because of her name, her narrative, and the pronouns used during gameplay. Claire's gender presentation doesn't reduce her to her gender or separate her from the rest of the cast.
Well, you heard her, folks. Women should be portrayed as cubes from now on. No more boobs, everybody. Yeah, I know, I'm sorry, no more boobs. The patriarchy and the boobs are banned from now on. I'm sorry, that's it, it's over. The boobs, no more. No more boobs, everybody. Let's become cubes. I can't become a cube, I'm a human being, Anita. We're human beings. The video game characters are representing human beings. We have boobs, we have eyelashes, we have earrings, we have makeup, we have hair, we have ribbons, we can put them in our hair and we can be all cute and shit. So get the fuck over yourself. That's it for today. I'm so happy that's over. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and I hope to see you soon. Take care, guys. Bye.